From the Pep Radio newsroom, here are the stories we are covering at this hour. WESA is reporting that Keith Haring grew to international fame through his chalk drawings in the New York subway that featured pronounced lines and bright colors. But the man whose philosophy was that art is for everybody got his start in Kutztown. Now, the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission is set to place a historical marker near his childhood home. Brendan Strasser, librarian and archivist at the Kutztown Area Historical Society, is excited Haring is starting to get the recognition he deserves. We felt for a long time that Keith Haring deserved more recognition in Kutztown than he has received to date. He said, "We're hopeful that this is the start of something more. Kutztown has become almost a pilgrimage site for fans of Keith's art. Kutztown has become an increasingly popular destination for fans of Haring's work," Strasser said. He used to receive a few calls a year asking for tours of the Historical Society where some of Haring's work is on display. Now he receives a few calls a month. A few weeks ago, two people from California came to Kutztown as part of their trip to Pennsylvania, Strasser said. They made a beeline to Kutztown to see the drawings, Strasser said, and it's really heartening to see that kind of continued interest in his work. Haring painted murals in places like New York, Japan, and Europe, including the Berlin Wall in 1986. Haring died in 1990 of AIDS-related complications at the age of 31. Strasser said the Historical Society is happy to see his work continuing to get the recognition he deserves in his home state. The Johnstown Tribune-Democrat is reporting that nearly 70 years ago, the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission was formed to address acts of hate and discrimination. A neo-Nazi rally last month in Harrisburg was a stark reminder that groups are still willing to stoke fear through a veil of secrecy. But many of the cases the commission investigates today are often out in the open, yet far less obvious in an increasingly diverse world, the commission's executive director, Dion Lassiter, said Monday in Johnstown. Discrimination and prejudice remain, whether it's a person of color barred from buying a home, a rural student whose access to education is blocked due to physical disability or gender identity, or a woman who is fired because she is pregnant, Lassiter said. Everyone should be treated as human, regardless of skin color, age, ethnicity, disability, or gender, he said. Pennsylvania's Human Relations Act prohibits discrimination in regard to employment, education, housing, and commercial property. The independent Harrisburg-based commission investigates cases and enforces those prohibitions, and Lassiter's visit to Johnstown was held, in part, to raise awareness about that mission. Monday's tour stop was also designed to build a collaborative local and state partnership to foster unity through an ongoing effort to build a beloved community. Depending on the need, that could include commission-created outreach programs on inclusion, seminars on diversity or human trafficking, or training for businesses, schools, communities, or law enforcement, he said. Training topics could include bullying prevention in schools, workplace sexual discrimination, and cross-cultural communication. And finally, this story from WGAL. Pennsylvania lawmakers recently introduced bipartisan legislation that would legalize adult-use cannabis, marking the latest proposal aimed at passing a measure legalized in nearly every one of the Commonwealth's neighboring states. House Bill 2500, which was announced over the summer and introduced on Friday, would have the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture oversee a new cannabis program and allow for the taxation and regulation of cannabis for non-medical purposes by Pennsylvanians who are at least 21 years old. The legislation also deals with expungements for those with cannabis-related convictions and being able to apply for resentencing or commutation. The bill would also prioritize the participation of small businesses in the cannabis industry, particularly for those firms that are owned by minorities, women, or veterans. Representative Emily Kinkead, one of the chief co-sponsors of the bill, would like to see the bill passed during the legislature's fall session. I'm hopeful that with the conversations that we're having with different stakeholders and advocates that we can get this done quickly, she said. And that is a quick check of the latest news. Now let's get back to more music on Pep Radio.